Early morning, everybody. This is Pamela checking in real quick before heading off to bed. I know it's a late night, but these things are going to be a rarity late at night. But I couldn't go to sleep without sharing a news story with you this evening. For those of you that are wondering whether opening up our country, our cities again, you might want to rethink that because a news story circulated on Facebook from NBC News that has been really on top of these things, where a man who called the social distancing stuff bullshit, that if you're paranoid about getting sick, don't go out. A man that said those things has died from COVID-19, which is a byproduct of the coronavirus. Let's get to the meat of this, shall we, here in a second? Let me check my camera. Okay, let me see. And it says here, an Ohio man who disparaged lockdown measures on Facebook dies of coronavirus. His alleged posts have gone viral amid protests and debates about the loosening of social distancing measures across this country. Again, an Ohio man who tore down our lockdown measures on Facebook dies of coronavirus. His posts have gone viral amid protests and debates about the loosening of social distancing measures across the country. Social media posts of an Ohio man who disparaged coronavirus lockdown measures are now circulating online after he died of COVID-19, the disease associated with coronavirus. And it goes on to say, screenshots of his Facebook post calling social distancing measures bullshit have surfaced online just days after John W. McDougal, 60. Again, the name is John W. McDaniel. Excuse me. Let's try this again. An Ohio man by the name of John W. McDaniel, who was 60 years old, died of coronavirus on April 15th. One screenshot of a post dated March 13th included an accusation that the virus was a, quote, political ploy, unquote. He said, if you're paranoid about getting sick, just don't go out, unquote. Another post following that said, it shouldn't keep the rest of us from living our lives. This madness has to stop, unquote. The post went viral, even getting the attention of British broadcaster Piers Morgan. And the host says, let his death be a warning to anyone else who wants to be living our lives and ignore lockdowns. It may end your life, Morgan tweeted Tuesday. And Piers Morgan tweeted, R.I.P. John W. McDaniel from Ohio, who posted this on March 15th and has now sadly died from coronavirus. Let his death be a warning to anyone else who wants to be living our lives and ignore lockdowns. It may end your life. John W. McDaniel said, if what I'm hearing is true, that DeWine has ordered all bars and restaurants to be closed, I say bullshit. He doesn't have that authority. If you're paranoid about getting sick, just don't go out. It shouldn't keep those of us from living our lives. This madness has to stop. But the guy who posted that online has passed. And the Real Truther tweeted, John W. McDaniel believed that COVID-19 was a political ploy. He was so angry at the governor for shutting down the state and preventing people from living our lives. And let's see. And this is all over Facebook. Okay? Matter of fact, I think I'll follow him so I can get back to him later. But yeah, the 60-year-old guy died because he tore down the social distancing guidelines. Apparently, they are there for a reason. But anyway, the dumb shit died of COVID-19. Let's go on down here. NBC News was unable to find his account, which may have been deleted, and cannot completely verify the screenshots. His family did not immediately respond to a request for comment from NBC. This McDaniels person was a lifelong resident of Marietta, Ohio, and an avid fan of OSU, according to his obit. His family described him as an entertaining storyteller who loved life and loved everyone he knew with his whole heart. They would also like to remind everyone to continue practicing social distancing to keep each other safe, the obit said. The scrutiny of his alleged posts have come after some in Ohio protested Governor Mike DeWine's social restrictions and amid debates around the reopening of businesses amid this pandemic. DeWine announced last week his intention to start reopening Ohio back up, with a tentative date to begin easing these restrictions on May the 1st. Other governors in states such as South Carolina, and Georgia have also announced their plans to lift them, even allowing some retailers to open this week. Dr. Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, warned that a May 1st reopening might be too early. The White House top coronavirus expert said that limits on testing would make it difficult to prevent new infections. We have to have something in place that is efficient that we can rely on, and we are not there yet, Fauci told the Associated Press last week. And that's it. But again, let me give you the short version. An Ohio man that disparaged lockdown measures on Facebook has died of COVID-19. His alleged posts have gone viral amid protests and debates about the loosening of social distancing measures across the country. And there were no screenshots physically with the article, but somebody from Twitter managed to catch some of the postings from John W. McDaniel. And Piers Morgan caught wind of it, okay? This has gone viral. It caught the attention of Piers Morgan. And on his Twitter, he says, "Rest in peace, John W. McDaniel from Ohio, who posted this on March 15th and has now sadly died from coronavirus. Let his death be a warning to anyone who wants to be living their lives and ignoring lockdowns. It may end your life." And the thing he posted on the 15th, it's in the article below, for those that could see, it says, "If what I'm hearing is true, that DeWine has ordered all bars and restaurants to be closed, I say bullshit. He doesn't have that authority. If you are paranoid about getting sick, just don't go out. It shouldn't keep those of us from living our lives. The madness has to stop." And of course, he got thumbs up and hearts for that. But sadly, COVID-19 took that guy's life. And yet his family wants to go to bat for him. He says he loved people with all his heart. Yet, a poster on Twitter called The Real Truther, John W. McDaniel, believed that COVID-19 was a political ploy. He was angry at the governor for shutting down the state and preventing people from living their lives. A month later, he's gone from COVID-19. You know, and I think from what I can gather from the small grab, Anybody have the guts to say that this is a political ploy? And he says something about prove me wrong. And somebody said Ms. Nasty of the Rebel Alliance says, well, there you go, rotten hell, asshole. And the guy said, prove him wrong. And somebody said, prove me wrong. It did. And another one says on Twitter, a guy by the first name of Frank says, these protests are going to result in more obituaries like this. And it's going like wildfire on Twitter. The article will be below. And it stinks because this is how people are dying. They don't want to adhere to guidelines. And again, I'll say this again before I knock off for the night. Mr. DeWine wants to open up everything in about 8 days. I don't think so. I think now is not the time. Especially when you hear about a meathead, a 60-plus-year-old meathead, that called COVID-19 a political ploy and was angry at our governor, Governor DeWine, for shutting down the city from getting people contaminated and sick. But the guy took it upon himself to think, oh, Mr. DeWine shut down the state, so we can't live our lives. Newsflash, partner, he did it to save our lives. And this John W. McDaniel thought that COVID-19 was a political ploy. And when he heard that Mr. DeWine had shut down the state, in a sense, he called it bullshit and said that DeWine didn't have that authority. And said, basically that the whole state, the whole country should be open and that people should live their lives. Well, look what happened. He posted about that about a month ago. And now, a month later, that old fart died from COVID-19. And yet, his family says, oh, he loved people with all his heart. Right. If you value your life, you'll do what you can to protect it. Not go out there and be a total asshole. And I say, karma came and bit him in the ass. And he says, anybody here have the guts to say that it's a political ploy, asking for people to prove me wrong? And somebody said, well, there you go. Rotten hell, asshole. And he got proved wrong in a big way. It cost him his life. And Piers Morgan even said, let me go back to the article here. Piers Morgan, and I will quote his article, his tweet, full frontal view. Let me see if I can follow him. Let's see. He says, and I quote, rest in peace, John W. McDaniel from Ohio, who posted this on March 15th and now has sadly died from coronavirus. Let his death be a warning to anyone else who wants to be, quote, living our lives and ignore lockdowns. That decision may end your life. And that's exactly what happened. And a lot of people have died because they want to play stupid and remove their mask and go out in public when we are not really ready to, are we? And again, this is what Mr. McDaniel said. This was posted on March 15th at 5:46 p.m. If what I'm hearing is true, that DeWine has ordered all bars and restaurants to be closed, I say bullshit. He doesn't have that authority. If you are paranoid about getting sick, just don't go out. It shouldn't keep those of us from living our lives. The madness has to stop. And you know what? Karma got this guy, and he wanted people to prove him wrong. And you know what? He has, man. I mean, this is just sad. I mean, it really is. And a lot of people are mad at Piers Morgan, calling him a patronizer. But when you're an idiot like that guy from Ohio, karma come back and bit him. And one of my friends says, "Yeah, it's all fake." Not. Another one says on my friend's post by the name of Patricia, says, "Oops, I guess he spoke too soon. The Mad King keeps leading his lemmings off that cliff." And it's really pathetic. It's really sad and it's really pathetic. But yeah. But there you go, ladies and gents. Again, a 60-year-old man has died from coronavirus after he called the COVID-19 bullshit and wanted people to prove him wrong, but he got handed a healthy dose of karma. That if you're not willing to take the guidelines seriously, you're going to put your life on the line. Not just your line, but the life of your... But not just your life, I meant to say. But you're going to be putting your family's life on the line and anybody else around you on the line. When he said that it was all a ploy and that what DeWine did was bullshit by shutting down our state, he called it bullshit. And if you're paranoid about getting sick, just don't go out. It shouldn't keep those of us who want to live our lives. The madness has to stop. But you know what? Coronavirus got that guy. And he didn't want to follow the guidelines. And then you see all these people doing all these lame-o protests. And I remember them doing one of those press conferences here in my city of Columbus where people were protesting. There was a reason we had social distancing guidelines set up for the past 2 months. And John W. McDaniel paid with his life. And, it's called karma. It is called full-faced karma. And his family probably took that page down because they didn't want to have to deal with a lot of haters going in there and posting shit. But Piers Morgan said it right. Let his death be a warning to anyone else who wants to be living our lives and ignore lockdowns. It may end your life. And Mr. Morgan is right. You want to be stupid and throw away your mask and act like it never happened? And then you could get sick and you could possibly die? Don't be like dumbass Trump. Don't be like some of these governors that want to lift these things. And now I hear that they're going to be talking about a possible second wave. If we can't get it under control, there may be a second wave of this coming by this next winter. So I think from what I said, back when this all began, we are in it for the long haul. And I intend to ride it out as long as possible. Just won't be going outside very much, won't be taking the bus anywhere. I might not even get my breast exam done at the end of May, so don't know yet, but I'll let you know what happens in either case. But I'm going to get this off. It's about 12:44 in the morning. I'm tired. You could read the article. Go to these tweets from Piers Morgan and any others that's in this article. And if there's any updates to this story, I'll be sure to let you know about it. But check out the page, The Real Truther, and Piers Morgan that has talked about it. And if it weren't for those, I probably would have taken it as a faux pas story, but Piers Morgan has got captures, and I think The Real Truther has got captures from this person's page. I don't know if it's Twitter or Facebook, but it's crazy. It really is. But to quote again, NBC News tried to find this guy's account but was unable to find it, and it may have been deleted and cannot independently verify those screenshots. His family did not immediately respond to a request for comment from NBC News. And it says down here in reading about his obituary, and you could click on the link. I think it'll take you to his obit. Yeah, right. They all talk about what a great guy he is, but, if you don't take these guidelines seriously, you could die, and that's exactly what happened. His obit, I'm not going to share it because it's not worth sharing. Anybody who could be that dense is not worth talking, much about in terms of life. They're painting him up like he's some sort of saint, but to think that way, calling the shutting down of our city bullshit? No. But his family says of him, he was an entertaining storyteller who loved life and loved everyone he knew with his whole heart. But then they end the article with, the family would also like to remind everyone to continue practicing social distancing and to keep each other safe, the obituary said. Too bad Mr. McDaniel didn't take those lessons to heart. Practice social distancing. That's what I do, even with my family. When they come over, we stay as far apart as we can. And it seems to be working out pretty well for us. But I'm going to get off for now. I'm going to be looking up more information here later on this afternoon. And maybe I'll be able to find out here. Maybe I'll be able to find out more crap about this. So check on those tweets if you can. You can click on them. It'll take you directly to those pages where those tweets came from. And you can leave your comments on the tweets. Follow if you want to follow a particular person. But again, don't be stupid like this McDaniels guy. He called it bullshit, got pissed at the governor, but we have these social distancing guidelines down for a reason. And this is why I say that May 1st would be way too soon in opening up certain places. And those posts that they found that they were able to get, where he was condemning the governor and calling COVID bullshit, was posted about a month ago. And now he's dead. And they're painting him up like some sort of saint, but If there was a guy that loved life, I would have done everything I could to protect my life, you know? But I can't say I'm sad because you act stupid, you're going to get bit. That is just how I feel on it. He may be a Buckeye, but he's a shame to the Buckeye Nation. Um, but I think his family deleted the account, but they couldn't independently verify where those screenshots, whether they were from the guy or not. But to hear posts like that going viral mere days after the guy is not even in the ground, um, you know, I understand how things can be in terms of being shut in. I've been in here for about a month now, or a couple months now, and it's not fun. There are days I have uh, like short-term thoughts on doing one thing, and then I do another, and then I forget what day it is. That's what it's like when you're in self-imposed exile, so to speak. But if you're not willing to follow the social distancing guidelines, maybe you should be dead. Can't say I feel sorry for the man that did die, because if you did chastise um, these lockdown measures, then maybe you should be dead. You know, and people are saying, I hope the guy is rotting in hell. You know? You know, he made a mistake, and it cost him his life. You know, and it's something that they call karma. You know, it's like those kids that went to Florida. I'm not going to let that ruin my vacation. I'm not going to let it ruin my plans to go across the country. You know, and it got him killed. You know, it got this guy killed. He might not have been showing any symptoms, but it can kill you. And that's just another body on the death count. So, you know. But I'm going to get off, get some sleep. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. I'll have the article below. And maybe by 3 o'clock tomorrow, 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow, I'll get back on here and we'll talk about it. But I think I'll do a video for my other website and post over there, seeing as how I'm not getting much views on YouTube. But for now, this news story will be going out on YouTube. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell button, make sure you get whatever the bell pulls up, whether you want occasional updates, all updates, or no updates. I'm going to get off here and go to bed. It's almost 1 a.m. I'm tired. But I wanted to let you know that another person has died of COVID-19. But I can't say I'm sorry, because he had disparaged the lockdown measures on Facebook, and a month later, he died. So, yeah. The guy's last name was McDaniels. So, you could look at those scrabs for yourself. You could click on those pictures. It will take you directly to the Twitter pages, and you can leave your messages to the corresponding posters. I'll get back on sometime tomorrow or over the coming days. So, good night, everybody. And please keep up with your social distancing. I'm not going to state it any harder than it already has in this article. If you don't have to go out, stay home. It can help save a life. Don't be like this dense little man that downplayed the COVID-19 situation, and it cost him his life. You know, I'm not going to be stressing about this much more. But just take care of each other. Call your families when you feel the need to. And if you have neighbors that need help, be sure you call them too. Have a good early morning, everybody, and I'll get back on sometime later. Have a good night, and I will be talking with you soon. Just gotta find my camera here. Good night.